Aloha friends, it's Robert Stellick. Welcome to the Blue Planet Adventure Company, right at the end of the Rainbow Bridge in Haleiwa. So we rent a lot of kayaks here, and one of the things that people are concerned about is what do I do if I flip the kayak over and have to get back in. So today we're going to talk about the easiest ways to get back into the kayak if you flip over. And it's always good to make a plan for what to do if you do fall in. So as a beginner, you should make sure you can do this. You can get back on the kayak or stand-up paddleboard before you go too far from shore. As long as you stay close to shore, if you can't get back in the kayak, you can always swim to shore. River is perfect because you never get very far offshore. But don't go out in open ocean conditions if you're not confident that you can flip the kayak over and get back in. And the biggest tip for getting back on is to make sure you kick your feet behind you so you get the body close to the water surface before you try to slide onto the kayak or board. What happens is that a lot of people try to kick down with their feet or kind of try to push off the bottom, but if there's nothing underneath you and the water's deep, there's nothing to push off. So if you're kicking underneath or kicking down, it's very hard to get your body up out of the water. If you're already kind of flat to the surface of the water, kicking your feet behind you, it's a lot easier to slide your chest back onto the kayak. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do it, and make sure you try this before you get out too far. So, I'm pretty stable in my kayak. And another good trick is to use the paddle. Like if you're starting to fall over, use your paddle to kind of push you back up. So a lot of times you can save yourself from falling by using the paddle as a brace. So like if you're falling, you can kind of push yourself back up. But if you do go too far and you can't keep yourself from falling in, no big deal. Get back to your kayak, and there's a couple different ways I can show you to turn the kayak over. So one way is to grab these two handles. This kayak has two handles. And I'm just going to pull down on one handle, push up on the other, and flip it back over. And sit-on-top kayaks are nice because you don't have to bail any water out, and it's relatively easy to get back in. But it's basically the same process on a regular kayak. It's just a little bit harder to get your feet back inside. Okay, so to get back on, I'm just going to put my paddle underneath the spongy cord up here so it doesn't float away. I'm going to get back towards the middle of the kayak, and note how I kick my feet behind me. I get my feet close, my whole body close to the water surface, and then I can also grab the handle across on the other side, and I just kind of lift up my chest a little bit and slide it up onto the kayak like this. And then once I got my center of gravity over the center of the kayak, I can slide my butt back in the seat, sit down, and then by keeping both legs in the water, I stay stable. So I keep my legs in the water till I get my kayak, paddle back. I got stability from the paddle, and then I put my feet back in. Alright, so that's one way to get back in your kayak. I'm going to show you another way if you have a hard time getting on from the center. Let's go over another method of flipping the kayak over and getting back on it. So once I'm in the water, so if you don't have handles like this where you can flip it over easily, the handles, you can also try to reach across the kayak, kind of get on top of the bottom of the kayak, and then flip it over like this. If it's windy, make sure to flip the kayak with the wind. And another easy way to flip it over is just to get by the nose and tail, and it usually flips over pretty easily. And then if you have a hard time getting onto the kayak from the middle, another way to do it is getting on from the back or from the front of the kayak. And by doing that, you can kind of push the kayak down under you and slide your body on a little bit easier. The downside is that it's a little bit more tippy in the back. But let's do that. So same thing, I'm going to kick my feet up behind me so my body's kind of close to the surface. I'm going to put the paddle up here. I'm going to kick my legs behind me, push the tail down, and then slide my chest onto it. And then I can kind of slide along into position, sit down, back in my seat. So to summarize, try to use your paddle to brace yourself and not fall in the first place. But if you do fall in, don't panic. Put your paddle so it doesn't float away. Get towards the middle of the kayak. Make sure to kick the feet behind you. Put one hand on each side of the kayak and then slide your chest onto the kayak. Get your center of gravity over the center of the kayak and then swing your legs over the kayak. Sit down with your legs dangling in the water. Wait till you have the paddle in your hands before you put the feet in the kayak as well. And then you can start paddling. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video about getting back on your kayak if you've fallen. So I hope it's helpful. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our Blue Planet Surf YouTube channel, and we'll see you on the water. Aloha.